Ukraine says it carried out large-scale drone attacks on multiple air bases.
Truly something out of a spy movie.
A reminder, despite Russia's overwhelming strength in numbers, that Ukraine is a resourceful, determined enemy.
This isn't a story about billion-dollar defense deals or elite government labs. This is about 150 weekend engineers scattered across basements and garages, quietly building the tools that are reshaping a brutal war. While NATO debated and Russia doubled down, these volunteers moved faster, outsmarting jammers, designing fiber-optic drones, and rewriting the rules of modern warfare. They're not just tinkering. They're winning small battles every day, utterly with soldering irons and code. And they've made some of Russia's most expensive tech look ancient. Who are they? And how did they outpace entire nations? Let's find out. The war Russia didn't see coming. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, it expected a quick and overwhelming victory. The plan was simple: push fast, break resistance, and install control within days. But the plan collapsed. What followed wasn't just military resistance, it was an explosion of civilian-led innovation that no one, not even NATO, had predicted. Ukraine found itself severely outgunned. Missiles, tanks, and drones rained down daily, while international support moved at a cautious pace. Western defense contracts came with timelines measured in years. Ukraine needed solutions in days. That's when ordinary people stepped in. Engineers, ex-soldiers, programmers, and hobbyists across Ukraine and around the world began building what the military didn't have. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't need an office or clearance. They had laptops, soldering irons, and a direct line to the front. This was the birth of a new kind of warfare. Fast, flexible, and improvised. One group in particular captured this spirit and ran with it. Defense tech for Ukraine. Not a company, not a government agency, just a network of volunteers turning battlefield problems into rapid-fire solutions. In a war defined by firepower, they brought something more dangerous: speed, creativity, and the willingness to break every rule that no longer worked. The rise of DTU. Defense tech for Ukraine wasn't born in a boardroom. It was born in the middle of chaos, stitched together by urgency and belief. The group began with a handful of volunteers, former soldiers, engineers, and tech-savvy civilians spread across North America and Europe. Most of them had never met in person. What united them was a shared conviction. If Ukraine was going to survive, innovation couldn't wait. Leading the charge were two unlikely allies. Carl Larson, a U.S. Army veteran and volunteer fighter in Ukraine's International Legion, had seen war up close. He understood the danger and the gaps in Ukraine's defenses. Alongside him was Jonathan Lippert, a civilian entrepreneur shaken by the invasion and determined to help. Together, they built a platform where tech creators and frontline soldiers could talk, exchange ideas, and solve problems in real time. No bureaucracy, no funding delays, just a Slack message, a prototype, and feedback from the field within days. That speed became their secret weapon. 6 weekly calls were all it took to keep hundreds of volunteers moving in sync. The result? Tech designed under fire, tested in combat, and deployed within weeks, not years. Fiber optics drones, the silent revolution. Among DTU's most groundbreaking innovations is the fiber optic drone, a concept so simple yet so devastatingly effective that it changed the rules of aerial warfare. Traditional FPV drones rely on radio signals to communicate, but signals can be jammed, traced, or intercepted. Russia exploited this weakness early, grounding Ukrainian drones mid-flight or locating their operators. DTU knew they needed a silent system, and they found it in fiber optics. Instead of using radio waves, these drones are tethered to operators by ultra-thin fiber optic cables. No wireless signal, no electronic trace, just a nearly invisible thread guiding the drone to its target. That makes them immune to jamming and almost impossible to detect. And it worked. The idea, first observed in Russian drones in early 2024, was quickly replicated and improved by a U.S. Marine veteran, Troy Smothers, working with DTU. Within 3 months, his prototype was in Ukraine. DTU engineers made it cheaper, lighter, and more adaptable, then gave the schematics to the military for free. That decision alone helped Ukraine deploy the system faster and at scale, turning a clever idea into a battlefield equalizer. All from a wire, all in record time.
Now, first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you.
Innovation without permission. What sets DTU apart isn't just what they build, it's how they build it. Traditional military innovation moves slowly, bogged down by layers of approval, testing phases, and corporate politics. DTU skips all of that. Their process is fast, decentralized, and ruthless in its focus on utility. Engineers don't wait for green lights. They listen to frontline soldiers, sketch out solutions, and test them within days. If something doesn't work, they fix it. If it does, they scale it immediately. This mindset has led to a wave of inventions that wouldn't survive in a traditional defense environment. There are drone-mounted shotguns designed to intercept enemy UAVs. There are battlefield jammers cobbled together from consumer parts. And manuals? They're printed onto sun visors, so soldiers don't lose them when things go sideways. Everything is about speed, adaptability, and survival. A drone idea can go from sketch to deployment in less than a month. That kind of pace is unthinkable in the defense industry, but DTU thrives on it. Their model isn't about perfection, it's about iteration. And in war, the ability to act fast often matters more than getting everything right the first time. David versus Goliath. Outpacing a superpower. Russia's war machine is massive, well-funded, and heavily supplied by allies like China. Its drones, like the Kanyaz Vandal, are powerful, boasting high accuracy, long-range capability, and top-tier surveillance tech. But that power comes with weight, quite literally. The cables they use are thick and heavy, limiting mobility. Their production is centralized, controlled, and slow to adapt. And that's where Ukraine and DTU found their edge. Instead of matching Russia's system to system, DTU focused on agility. They use lighter cables, faster designs, and cheaper components. Ukrainian drones may not be as polished, but they're quick to evolve. When something breaks, it's reworked within weeks. When Russia jams a system, DTU builds a new workaround. They're not trying to out-muscle Russia, they're outsmarting it. And when brute force failed to stop Russia's drone assault, Ukraine changed its strategy. In April, a Ukrainian strike hit Russia's key fiber optics facility, likely slashing their drone production capabilities by 25%. That wasn't just a tactical hit. It was a signal. DTU knows how to hit where it hurts. In this battle of speed versus scale, of garage labs versus industrial giants, it's speed that's proving to be the deadlier weapon. The open-source arsenal. One of DTU's boldest moves was deciding not to keep their breakthroughs secret. Instead of patenting designs or locking down production, They open-sourced many of their most effective innovations, like the fiber optic drone. That meant anyone in Ukraine's defense ecosystem could use, improve, and deploy the tech. And many did. This open-source model turned DTU's prototypes into templates for national defense. Independent drone makers, state-funded firms, and frontline units all began working from the same playbook. The result was rapid scaling and adaptation. When one unit found a better camera mount or lighter spool, it fed back into the system for everyone to use. The whole ecosystem evolved together. Russia, by contrast, kept its best tech siloed and secret. Innovation flowed top-down, not peer-to-peer. That made their advances harder to copy, but also harder to fix when they failed. DTU's approach, however, encouraged trial and error, rapid learning, and shared success. It wasn't just about building drones, it was about building a culture of wartime innovation. This shift, from closed to collaborative, from centralized to scattered, may be DTU's most powerful weapon yet. It's not just what they build. It's how they've changed the way warfighting tools are made. Beyond drones, the innovation machine. DTU didn't stop at drones. Once they proved their model worked, they applied it to everything the front lines needed. If a soldier mentioned a problem during a field call, the team treated it like an urgent design brief. That's how they ended up building tools the military never thought to ask for, but desperately needed. Take their acoustic detection system. It's being tested to hear incoming drones before they appear on radar. Or their RF, radio frequency detector, designed to spot enemy drones by sensing their signals. Then there's the sub-$10,000 radar project, built because expensive Western systems were too rare and too slow to arrive. Even more unconventional was the ICLO drone, a flying shotgun rigged to shoot enemy UAVs out of the sky. It sounds like science fiction, but DTU made it real, using 3D printing and salvaged parts. And they're not working alone. DTU collaborates with Brave One, Ukraine's official defense tech hub, and coordinates with grassroots groups like Kiev Defenders to train soldiers and spread tools fast. Every device, every project is a reminder. DTU isn't a company. It's a mindset. A refusal to accept limitations. A commitment to invent, adapt, and deliver before it's too late. This isn't just a story about technology, it's about defiance. About a group of volunteers who chose to fight with code, wires, and raw determination. While Russia poured billions into its war machine, DTU built battlefield game-changers with a fraction of the resources. And they're still building. Faster, smarter, more connected. What started as a handful of people is now a movement that's reshaping the future of war itself. The message is clear. In a world of drones and data, speed and creativity beat money and muscle. The battlefield is evolving, and DTU is leading the charge. Stay tuned. More is coming.